I have no respect for women for children. Okay, I think so poorly of them, and the reason why.
Hey, welcome back to Idaho News. So, the school district speaks out after student is charged for making online threats. And we're going to play the video at the end. The Rupert Police Department announced today in a press release that a 13-year-old East Minico Middle School student is being charged with threatening violence on school grounds. On August 30th, the Rupert Police Department was notified of threats made over the social media platform Instagram. The Rupert Police Department said in a Facebook post, the student threatened to shoot students at school. Police say the threats were made on August 29th within an Instagram chat room. Dang, that's... I don't know, I kind of feel that was... Guys are slow? Due to the nature of threats, low enforcement presence was increased at all Minidoka County schools. However, investigators quickly determined the threats were against an individual and not the school itself. The school and the police were notified of the threat very early on August 30th. Superintendent Dr. Kenneth Cox said that the school district could have handled the situation very differently. The case has been forwarded to the Minidoka County prosecutor. The student will be charged with threatening violence on school grounds. The Rupert Police Department says that parents should be involved in their child's life. According to the superintendent, Dr. Cox, the student is still continuing their education, but not at East Minico Middle School. All right, we'll play that clip right now.
Press release regarding a 13-year-old student at East Minico Middle School. Now, that student is being charged with threatening violence on school grounds. Elizabeth Hadley is standing by live in Rupert with the very latest.
Thanks, Joe. I'm here at the East Minico Middle School, where a 13-year-old is being charged with making threats to students at school. Now, you may remember that this happened on August 30th when Rupert police increased their patrols at all of the Rupert schools. The police department had just heard about this and was going to conduct an investigation, which required a search warrant for the students' social media accounts. The threats were made on Instagram to specific students, and that student has been charged and will be in court beginning in the next few days.
It's important that parents take all that information in and evaluate that before making any decisions or assumptions regarding an incident that may be happening at school. It's also an obligation of law enforcement, school districts, local governments to make sure that they are getting fast, accurate information to the public as quickly as possible. So one of the worst things we can do in a situation like August 30th is panic because of the amount of information coming in.
County prosecutor is now in charge of the case. Now, this case is ongoing and we'll be investigating more in the next few days. Stay with KMVT to hear all of the latest updates. Live in Rupert, Elizabeth Hadley, KMVT News.
Well,
So, I think I reported on this. I don't know. I might have just skimmed over it, but the high school principal found not guilty of sexual battery. A jury has found a 44-year-old former Idaho high school principal not guilty of sexual battery against a female coworker. Former Fruitland High School principal Mike Fitch was charged earlier this year with a misdemeanor sexual battery and patronizing a prostitute. Court documents say the woman said Fitch sent erotic videos and photos and propositioned her for money in exchange for sex. Documents say the woman shared evidence from her email account to Idaho State Police detectives. Officials say the woman told police the suspected conduct took place a week after she was hired. Fitch testified in court this week that he believed conversations between him and the victim were mutual. And the story has been corrected to remove a reference to Washington State. And so I tried these links and stuff. It doesn't really take you anywhere. So I don't know. you never know with these kind of things. It's hard to know who's telling the truth and not, and I don't have any evidence to say one way or another, so I'll see you guys in the next one. All right, so we got a former Idaho GOP chairman proposes plea agreement. The former chairman of Idaho Republican Party has agreed to plead guilty to stalking his estranged wife and unlawfully entering the home of a female colleague in exchange for 3 other charges being dropped by prosecutors. I wonder what those were. Idaho Statesman's report, Jonathan Parker proposed the plan to settle 5 pending criminal cases during a court hearing on Monday. Under the agreement, Parker would receive probation, a 5-year non-contact order with his estranged wife, and the female colleague whose home he entered, and possibly restitution. If the judge doesn't accept the plea agreement, Parker faces up to 5 years in prison for felony stalking charge. Parker resigned from his GOP post in February with more than 2 years left in his term. He was arrested on suspicion of stalking on May 30th and was later also charged with 3 other misdemeanors and felony witness intimidation. Well, all I can say is I'm glad that at least some politicians aren't getting away with everything.